Today I'm ranking every single win condition in Clash Royale from worst to best. Starting off with the Rune Giant. She is so bad that bad as in she's like, I don't even want to consider her a win condition. That's how bad she is. The health really just isn't good enough. She can level up like every once in a while a miner or like a lava hound or an inferno dragon, and it's like, wow, okay, that is shredding, but that very rarely happens. And for 4 Elixir, not playing any defense, not getting any damage, and usually not giving her bonus damage to anything useful, and even if she does give it to something useful, it doing something useful is a whole nother story. Really bad card. Up next is the Goblin Giant, which is really bad in both its Evo and normal form. When ranking the win conditions that have an Evo, I'm going to combine both of the Evo and the base card into like one card. It doesn't matter with Goblin Giant because it's really bad. The health is lacking compared to every other ground win condition. The Spear Goblins on its back got heavily nerfed multiple times, as you probably remember from the Goblin Giant P.E.K.K.A meta. And honestly, the Hero Giant, the Golem, the Lava Hound even are so much better options. Pretty much everything in the game does a better job than the Goblin Giant at tanking and provides something that the Goblin Giant doesn't, whether it's damage, HP, or something else. The Ram Rider I know is in the upcoming balance changes, which still haven't come out for some reason, but I don't think that's enough to make her a better win condition than multiple options on this list. I go through the list of win conditions and I'm like, would I rather have them or a Ram Rider? I compare the strength, the win percentage, the use percentage, the versatility, and the Ram Rider provides none of that, while also being very similar to the Hog Rider and the Battle Ram in the sense that you would play her in those slots. And I kind of don't see myself using her over the Battle Ram Evo, definitely not over the Hog Rider, and so she's kind of in a weird place where no decks really use her. No, the Evo Goblin Drill is terrible, yes, but the normal Goblin Drill isn't faring too well in the meta right now either, and that's probably just a current meta thing. I'm not really worried about the Goblin Drill as a whole. I think Goblin Drill decks will eventually come back in the meta when the decks are more friendly to it. It is pretty matchup based, and especially for mid ladder, most cycle decks are pretty good when you know what you're doing, but Drill is one of those things that just is not a go-to deck for mid ladder and is not something I'd recommend people upgrade, unlike something like 2.6. The Electro Giant is a decently niche win condition that gets countered by way too much stuff, and there's not outplay potential with E-Giant for the most part. It's a control deck that has you going, damn, I really wish I had any other control deck right now, while E-Giant still does have some good matchups and it can snipe things. The typical E-Giant, there is really only one E-Giant deck, and that deck gets countered by Hero Mini P.E.K.K.A, Hero Giant, Hero Wizard, and Hero Valkyrie, Hero Hyper Bait, and a lot of just really common decks like 2.6. Although a good E-Giant player can beat some of those, it's not reliable at all. Now I see E-Golem decks on top ladder, and you might be going, wow, how is this suspicious bush above the E-Golem? You gotta bear with me. E-Golem is cool, right? But it's really just coin flip simulator. You don't outplay things with E-Golem. You either at the beginning of the match have a good matchup and win, or have a bad matchup and lose. That's just how it goes. And people that push up with E-Golem just sit there and play all day, or snipe, or get lucky with their matchups, and or starting hand people. It's really not a good win condition. It's just, you just completely luck based. And honestly, even though there are a couple players who are with it on top ladder, not a good mid ladder deck, not a good deck for Trophy Road. It just wouldn't recommend it unless you're trying to speedrun something. Up next is the Lava Hound. Now, 5 or 6 months ago, when I did this original tier list, Lava was one of the best win conditions and most solid win conditions in the entire game. Heroes and the just broken balances that have been happening over the last couple of months have completely nerfed the Lava into the ground. Now, the Lava could come back up with some good balance changes, with a new hero edition. It could depend on the meta. It's just Lava Hound right now, not good at all, and that was reflected by how few Lava players were on top ladder last season. While it can still be a good deck for mid ladder, if you don't really have a good mastery of this deck, you're going to get shredded by multiple air counter cards and decks, and it's really just not a reliable option in the current meta, though you can still get wins here and there with it. That being said, a lot of people also at like maybe a lower ultimate champion range or below that don't know how to defend Lava Hound properly. So maybe if you're a decent Lava Hound player, you're going to have tons of success against those players. But again, if you're not super good, Lava Hound's pretty bad. Now, the same thing happened second to Expo, except for Betfist. He's just amazing, outplays so many different matchups and no other Expo players are doing. And also, I mean, sniping, but I mean, everyone does that on top ladder. That just doesn't, to me, make the deck good or the win condition good, better than most of the cards on this list, because Expo is really, really hard to play against the brain slop cards in the meta right now. And I'm not an Expo supporter by any means. It hard counters my deck, so I'm kind of biased against it. But Expo is significantly harder to play in this meta than it has been in a while. And while some Expo players are still stringing wins together, getting some win streaks, getting some pushes, it is still extremely hard. Tilts are common, and Expo isn't very solid right now. Now, there's only so high that I can rank the Suspicious Bush with the straight face. And you can't in a vacuum just go, you'd rather have a sus bush in your deck than a lava hound? What are you, retarded? Like, the Suspicious Bush is extremely good in hyperbait, does tons of damage, it synergizes extremely well, and is really easy to play. You just put it down and you spam the other lane a little bit, maybe spam the same lane a little bit, and the Suspicious Bush is getting a ton of damage on the tower. Win percentage is good, use percentage is good, very easy to play, and it's, you know, you're having more success with the Suspicious Bush decks than you are with the other decks of the win conditions we've covered so far. So maybe in a vacuum, I couldn't replace my Lava Hound with a Suspicious Bush, but that doesn't mean that it's not a pretty decent win condition. Now, Wall Breakers are an interesting card to rank because I can't justify putting Wall Breakers much higher, even though they're a really good card, being a secondary win condition. Like a 2 elixir wall breaker card, they are really strong. The standard wall breakers are great, evo wall breakers are great, apply tons of pressure, always get positive elixir trades, and or force something out of the opponent to allow something else in your deck to do well. The wall breakers, I mean, realistically, you can't just throw them down and they don't just win you the game by themselves. You have to do a little bit of tinkering and stuff like that. But wall breaker is just a very solid card right now that I think are, you know, 14th on the list, but are still a very valid option in a ton of decks. And just because they can't solo carry you doesn't mean they aren't a solid win condition. Now, I would rank the Battle Ram higher than the, you know, Sus Bush and the Wall Breakers, because, I mean, Evo Battle Ram can win you the entire game by itself. The reason I can't rank it higher is because you do have to have a bit of setup for this to happen. You do have to have a specific deck. You can't just throw Battle Ram in, and it's not the main focus of the decks that it's dominating in. It's kind of that secondary win con that will lead to positive results. It has to be tanked for, it doesn't get value in every matchup, but it's always a threat. And since I have to rank the normal Battle Ram too, which really isn't a good card, that does drag down the Evo Battle Ram's ranking a little bit to average it out at around the middle of the pack. Now, Goblin Barrel, I think I could justify ranking a little bit higher, but the Goblin Barrel right now is about to get some pretty good nerfs to its, well, we don't know that. It's about to get some nerfs to the decks it's good in, with, you know, Hero Knight and Skarmy nerfs and a couple other hyperbait nerfs, but it's just like, I don't know if that's going to kill the deck. Right now, Goblin Barrel has been boosted up from bottom of the pack to top of the pack, but I'm going to leave it at 12 because I think Goblin Barrel a reliable win condition right now, but it's kind of being carried by the hyper and hyperbaits, and standard Goblin Barrel decks aren't doing that well, aside from Ijihu. I hope I didn't mispronounce that's new deck with Skarmy in it, which is really heavily reliant on Skarmy Evo, so I can't rank it that high, but it's clear that it's pretty solid in the meta right now, so I can't just rank it low because, oh, it's carried by its deck. The stats tell a story. Now, Miner isn't the best, like, solo win con in the game, but as a secondary win condition and just as the versatility, as the unpredictability, just, it's such a good card. It can be put in so many different decks, gets reliable chip damage, can be used to snipe things, can be used to tank for things, can be unpredictable, so it can take out pumps, can be unpredictable, so you know, you kind of get guaranteed damage a lot of the time. And even though Miner probably isn't good enough as the only win condition in your deck, it almost never is the only win condition in your deck, but I won't put it higher because it is a secondary win condition and relies on you having other things in your deck. The Balloon is solid. It's not the greatest top ladder win con right now, but for most of ladder, Balloon Cycle, even Lumber Loon, Lava Loon are all usable and can all get wins, and Balloon's straight up versatility in so many different decks makes me rank it pretty high, and it's got a decent use and win percentage on the top 1000 as well. So it doesn't, it falls off a little bit as you push up ladder, but not significantly like most of the other win cons on this list. And it's a valid option in tons of different decks and can be really annoying to stop. And also you can pair it with a ton of really good cards in the meta to get more balloon connections and to make it more of a threat, like the Hero Musk, like the Lava Hound to certain extents. Now, I'm a big Royal Giant fan. I think this card is amazing, but the just really random fall off in the last day or two of Ultimate Champion ladder made me knock this down a little bit, because I was seeing Royal Giant players dominate all the way up until the last day, and then I didn't see any of them, and I have to go back and check where the best Royal Giant players finished on ladder, but it kind of just fell off a cliff. I'm not exactly sure why, but that did make me knock it down a few positions. Royal Giant, for the most part, an insanely good deck to commit to. You don't really have to worry about, you know, where it placed in the top 100, because for most players, RG, one of the most consistent and strong and decks with a ton of outplay in the entire game. I would absolutely still invest in it, but I did have to, again, knock it down a few spots because it really fell off on the last day of the season. Now, I'm going Graveyard. It is getting an extra skeleton. It is decent, and there's a couple splash art decks that work right now. It is really good in Hero Giant Graveyard, and really, for the most part, Graveyard's extremely hard to stop. Although it's not very popular of a card, I'd say, in mid-ladder. Every time I've played Graveyard in mid-ladder, I've had, well, mid-ladder to me is just anything, like, when I say mid-ladder, I just mean anything below top ladder. Like, Graveyard is just successful in any deck I play it with every single time I take it to mid-ladder. Very, very good card. Very hard to stop. The decks oftentimes have a ton of versatility, strength, outplayability, and Graveyard is just extremely solid right now. Now, Golem is arguably a little, you can make a debate, it's a little weaker than Graveyard or Royal Giant or Balloon, but Golem is so easy to play. You just put the Golem down, and, you know, maybe wait a little bit to put the Golem down, because you got to cycle to your broken evos first, like the Witch or the Baby Dragon and the Hero Mini P.E.K.K.A, and then you just kind of shove it all in a lane and you win the game. Pretty self-explanatory. It has a good win percentage and use percentage on top of being extremely easy to play. Now, Royal Hogs are really, really strong. Not only are they good in recruits, but the Hoggies Queen deck and the Hoggies Hut deck with either Hero Musk or Ice Wizard in it are beautiful. That outplays the offensive and defensive, like, hybrid of the deck. It goes from being a really strong offensive deck to being a really strong defensive deck, having a ton of good matchups. Royal Hogs, especially the flying version, are just dominant right now, because the Royal Hog's biggest weakness was there's like no way to outplay. It's hard to outcycle people, especially with 3-card cycle with the Queen being removed. It's hard to get the Hoggies to get consistent damage until they're in the air, and now it's a lot easier to get more value out of your Hogs, making them a very, very good win condition in Clash Royale. Cracking the top 5, we've got the Mortar, specifically the Evo Mortar, which is a great win condition, but is also being carried by Hero Musk and Hero Knight, and is just a very, very strong deck to pair with the broken cards in the meta. Mortar Bait isn't extremely popular anymore, although it was really strong just a little while ago. It's probably going to make a bounce back in the meta, but right now it pairs perfectly with two of the most broken heroes in the game, making it extremely strong. And also the fact that going from Mortar cycling to having an Evo Mortar means one Evo Mortar connection, because you can keep it alive pretty easily once it's locked on, will win you the entire game, because it attacks faster and does more damage with the goblins that you can tank for with the Knight, especially the Hero Knight and the Miner. Such a good card. Would definitely recommend, if you have the levels, play Mortar. Most casuals are sleeping on the 3 Musketeers, and the 3 Musketeers, with their new rework that just massively buffed them, are some of the best cards in the game. They are so hard to take out. They do so much damage and apply crazy pressure, because they are oftentimes staying alive way longer than they should have and doing massive damage to melee targets up close. 3 Musketeers, one of the better cards to play in the game right now, and if you max the best 3 Musketeers decks in Clash Royale, which I've actually posted videos on, you will have success on any area of ladder. That's just period, especially because their decks are extremely strong, pairing with what soon will be released in the Hero Ice Golem, as well as things like the Hunter and the Evo Hogs. Now, the Skeleton Barrel Evo is getting nerfed. I'm not sure how much that's going to affect the Evo Skeleton Barrel, but right now it is extremely oppressive. The damage it's dealing with both impacts is crazy, is taking out things. Like, it's valid on defense. It is taking out so many different cards that you would use to counter it, and even the ones that it doesn't take out, it knocks back and stuns temporarily. So the skeletons, not to mention you get double the skeletons, are going to do crazy work, all for 3 elixir, which also spell baits and opens up the rest of your deck to get more damage. And it's just an insanely hard card to stop. Yeah, even after the balance changes, I think it's still going to be really good. But right now, a top 3 win con in the game. It is insanely hard to stop and gets crazy value for its cost. Hog Rider, what more can I say? 2.6 Hog, best deck in the game. Hog EQ, very valid deck, successful on most of ladder, even if it's not the best Hog deck on top ladder. Hog Rider is always getting that extra hit, is one of the easiest win cons to use, can be put in any Tom, Dick, and Harry's mid-ladder menace deck to get crazy value. And you know what? Oh, 1 level over leveled is just the most pain in the ass one over leveled card in the game. You can argue me with that. When I see an over leveled Hog Rider, I just get pissed off. It does way too much damage and way too much health. You can't really nerf it, I don't think, even though I justify nerfing it. But the Hog Rider, that's just because I'm biased. Literally just because I'm biased. But the Hog Rider is so strong. Versatility, usage percentage, win percentage, variability in the top ladder decks. 2.6 getting even more buffed when the Ice Golem hero comes out. It's remarkable. And I got to give the first spot to the Giant. Like, the Hero Giant, the Giant is good. The Hero Giant, some dude named Ronald, maybe he was pushed. He just randomly appeared top 2. Every single person can play Hero Giant, Hero Mini P.E.K.K.A. It is so easy to play. It is so easy to play. It is so oppressive, and you cannot lose like more games than you win with this deck. It's impossible. It is literally impossible. There are so many Giant players right now in the meta that are just dominating because of how easy the deck is to play. There's no, I mean, you can debate with me maybe that, I don't know. I think Giant's the best in the game easily, given the win percentage, the use percentage, how easy it is to play. It's extremely versatile. You could put it pretty much in any one of the ground beatdown decks and still have it do well. But in its current decks with the, you know, triple spell and the Dark Prince of the Bomber type things, or the Hero Mini P.E.K.K.A. or the Hero Wizard or Sparky, or it's just really, really, really strong. And that's it for the Evo or win condition rankings. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, I know you guys are going to yell at me.